So now we are going to listen to Anita Korde ji. She's going to be speaking on the Sompura community. The Sompura community is very, very important. They are the ones who built the Somnath Temple in Gujarat, and even the Ayodhya temple that is coming up in Ayodhya is built by this community. So they are extremely skilled people, and so she's going to be telling us about how what is their pedagogical pedagogy. So Anita ji is an alumnus of Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies and a master in Indology from Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith Pune. She is a management professional turned Indologist. She is passionate about the symbolism embedded in the art and architecture of Hindu temples. She is a certified Brahma Vidya ancient yogic science spiritual teacher. She is a vegan who leads a compassionate lifestyle. She led the setting up of the Somnath Exhibition Gallery, the Somnath Temple Architecture Museum in Somnath. She has authored the book, The Invincible Somnath Temple Journey of Jiva to Shiva, which was commissioned and published by Sri Somnath Trust. She was a part of the G20 summit. She has authored, presented many papers on temple architecture. So over to you, Anita ji.
Well, Jai Mahakal and Jai Somnath. Namaskar everyone, and welcome to my presentation, which is going to be on the Sompura community. They are the legacy bearers of the Indian knowledge system of Vastu Shastra in Western India. Now, the aim of this presentation is to show how the translation and decoding of the Sanskrit Vastu Shastra treaties, when they are done in Gujarati and Hindi, acted as a strong pedagogical tool for conservation, preservation, and transmission of knowledge to the Sompura community. So one of the most important Indian knowledge system is that of the architecture and engineering called as Vastu Shastra. So what is Vastu Shastra? Vastu Shastra is an ancient science or knowledge of art and architecture, of designing and constructing temples, buildings, and dwellings based on the natural principles. The first textual evidence of Vastu Shastra was found in Rigveda. Vedic wisdom, including insights from Vastu, was traditionally preserved through oral transmission and memorization, and eventually documented in written form. Vastu Shastra was a purely technical subject, and it was only confined to the architects or Sthapatis, which then handed over to their heirs. Some of the important Vastu Shastra treatises are Samrangan Sutradhar, Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, Prasad Manjari, Mayamatta, and Aprajita Pricha. So what is a temple? The temple makes the invisible visible and provides an appropriate shelter to the divine force in the form of a deity. The temples are generally categorized into three primary styles. The northern temples are called as Nagara, the southern temples are called Dravida, and the mixed style is called Vesara. So let's see how temples which are built as per the Vastu Shastra treaties reflect each other. Temples in all the advanced societies embody the affluence, artistry, fervor, and a divine urge to etch God from their souls into the stones. Scriptures mirror the intellectual and spiritual depth of these societies. This suggests that temples and scriptures, though distinct, resonate with the same spiritual essence. So it is apt to say that temples are books crafted in stones and bricks, while the books are temples constructed with words. A cumulative series of text continues to be available despite the widespread destruction and act as a disseminator of knowledge of temple building. In this paper, I'm going to focus on the Sompura community, which has adeptly navigated the shifts and changes introduced by the late colonial era, post-independence, and the modern era in Gujarat and Rajasthan. So who are the Sompuras and what do we know about them? The Sompura community is a proponent of Nagara architecture and belongs to the Brahmin Jati. Their origin is mentioned in Prabhas Khand of Skanda Puran. In Gujarat, the Sompura community primarily resides in the Saurashtra region, notably in the places like Vadhavan, Palitana, Halwad, and Ahmedabad. The majority of the Sompuras are found in Dhangadra region because it has got one of the largest quarries there, stone quarries. Some of the most iconic and beautiful temples built by Sompura communities are the Somnath Temple at Veraval in Gujarat, Modhera Sun Temple, the Swaminarayan Temples in Delhi and Gandhinagar, and the newly in-process construction of the temple happening, which is Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Now, when we look at the architecture before the 8th century AD, we find that not much is left because they were built in bricks, they were built in wooden structures and also in bricks, which has over a period of time decayed and have vanished. So we find that much of the text from the 6th century BC to the 6th century AD are lost, and only the fragmentary portions appears in the later works of Vastu Vidya. So now we come to the medieval times. The medieval temples are from the 8th to 18th century AD. The most pivotal role in temple construction was held by the chief architect. They were called Sompuras in the west, Mahapatras in the east, and the Sthapatis in the south. The Yajman who wanted to build the temple selected the qualified Sthapati from the Sompura community. The selected Sthapati in turn chooses his own team. The construction team consists of 4 classes: Sthapati, Sutragrahin, Takshaka, and Vardagin. Several worksmen worked under these 4 heads in the erection of the temple. The Sthapati from Sompura community chose people from his relations and family, as the trust played a very important role in the temple building profession. Since temple building was a tedious process that sometimes took decades, the families of the workers moved and stayed together at the site of the temple construction. Drawings were very crucial in temple design, and the Sthapati's expertise lay in these drawings. This knowledge was closely guarded by the Sthapati, which he received from his father and forefathers, and then he passed it on to his sons. Now his sons became his assistants in overseeing the building operations. The boys from the family, after their regular schooling, would visit the father and learn the ropes of the art. The training to the young generation students was not imparted in any separate school, but right on the field where the projects were being executed under the supervision of the experienced heads. Based on the ancient manuals, the trainees were educated in various subjects, both theoretically and practically, including designing, building materials, painting, sculpting, and religious philosophy behind it. Once they had grasped the necessary skills, they were delegated to more esteemed and significant projects. The architectural training both utilized the pedagogical strategies like hands-on experience, reflective observation, abstract thinking, and on-site supervision. Trainees specialized in one area, but they were very well conversant in all other functions of the temple building. If somebody was absent, they were able to overtake his work. The knowledge and expertise were traditionally handed down orally and through hands-on training from one generation to the next and within the families, households, and community of Sompuras. So let's see how Sompuras benefited from the Jati system. The Sompura as a community or a Jati worked together in the temple building profession since ancient times and benefited due to its inherent quality. The foundational caste system emphasized the division of labor with individuals dedicated to specific roles within the caste. This focused approach allowed the Sompura Jati to concentrate and excel in their assigned task, resulting in skill specialization. The rigidity of the Jati system limited the professional choices of Sompuras, but inadvertently led to the mastery in temple building through generational practice and knowledge transfer. So what are the key events that happened and shaped the Sompura community in the current times? The great boost to the Sompuras came in the form of 2, which allowed them to exercise a craft and also use this opportunity to pass and transmit the knowledge to the young generation with hands-on experience. The first one was the rebuilding of the iconic Somnath Temple at Veraval, the first large temple built in India post-independence in 1951. The second was the extensive reconstruction and renovation, which in Gujarati is called Jirnodhar, of the medieval temples at locations like Ranakpur and Dilwara and Kumbharia and Taranga. Now, these two activities provided the Sompura artisans with experience in renovation technique and the meticulous replication of the medieval temple details. Since we were ruled by Muslims and then the Britishers, not many temples were built. So what happened is the Sompura community's expertise were utilized in making mosque and also the colonial buildings. And for example, in 1820s, we have the Lakshmi Vilas Palace of Baroda, which was constructed by Gaikwads. Now they had the Indo-Sarsanic architecture, and they utilized the Sompuras as the workers for doing the work. But the architect was a British man. I forget his name. I think it was Robert Crislam. Okay. So what was the major challenges faced by the common Shilpis in the Sompura community while dealing with the text, which is what they used to build the temples? So in the 19th century AD, a major challenge with the text was their rarity. Additionally, the Sthapatis or the Shilpis who had this text were guarded about them, hesitant to share their contents. Compounding the issue, many of the keepers were often unable to fully grasp the information within these documents written in Sanskrit. The priests, considered interpreters of the sacred text, also struggled to comprehend them. This text, laden with mnemonic structures, included technical terminologies. Then they often had technical meanings distinct from their common usage, leading to further confusion. The extraordinary contribution to preserving and transferring the knowledge of Vastu Shastra came in the form of editing the old scriptures by two prominent personalities from the Sompura communities. These books were powerful pedagogy tools to transmit the knowledge to the peers and the new generation. The first one was Prabhas Patan Sompura. He was one of the most leading personalities or the Sthapatis of his time. He's the one who built the Somnath Temple. His grandson is currently building the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. Yes. Driven by the desire to make the traditional knowledge accessible to the Gujarati-speaking common Shilpis, who had no access to traditional work or understanding of Sanskrit, he began translating the ancient Sanskrit text. So these are the few of his publications which he translated in Gujarati and Hindi.
5 minutes more.
Okay, the first one was Diparvana, okay, in 1960, which was aimed at Gujarati speakers and practitioners. For the translation is in Gujarati. The second is the Shirarna, which was translated in 1967. It was translated both in Hindi and Gujarati, and it was also used the English language to label those things. Right, and the other one is Pratima Kalanidhi, the album of Indian iconography, Vastu Kalanidhi, the album of Indian architectural designs. So if you see, the drawing played a powerful pedagogical tool in transformation of the knowledge. Okay, these are the kind of diagrams they use. This is the text converted into the diagrams. So it played a very important and a powerful pedagogical tool to transmit the knowledge. So second, after that was Narmada Shankarbai Muljibai Sompura, who translated the beautiful text called Shilpa Ratnakar. Now what he did was, he translated this 800-page text into Gujarati, and it was only nominally priced at 10 and published in Baroda. And this had beautiful illustrations which helped the common Shilpis to grasp it very easily and translate it into actual work on the field. So this publication shifted the knowledge from being exclusive to becoming accessible to the common people. So Sompura's codified drawings remain relevant to the current practitioners. Right? So now let's talk briefly about the current age Sompuras. The older generation safeguarded their knowledge and didn't want to share it with anyone. And historically, Sompuras carved stones themselves, but now it is given away to different communities. So no longer it is a community-driven profession, because there are many other people from other communities also doing this work. While the past Sompuras used the extensive time-consuming hand drawings, now it has come down to the computer-generated drawings, so they no longer rely on the old designing. Previously, chisel and hammers were the primary tools. Now, pneumatic drills, diamond cutters, CNC machines, and water jets have been used. So, what you see is the uniformity of the production. The old Sompura community, where some person was very good at carving, you can see through the work, which is still there, 11th century, 12th and 13th century. Here we find the uniformity. So, that particular touch is gone. Because of the technological advancement, it has expedited the construction process. The large, beautiful Swaminarayan Temple at Delhi, it was constructed only in 5 years, right? So with the new Sompuras have now ventured into transnational assignments of building temples in USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Middle East. They prefabricate all the parts of the temple here in the workshops in India, ship them through the cargo and assemble them on site. So Sompuras in the past have left a trail of magnificent edifices across the landscape of India, and they continue to do so now across the globe. They, with their unique contribution to the scriptures and making temples as per the scriptures, are truly the legacy bearers of Indian knowledge system of Vastu Shastra in Western India. Thank you, Indica, for inviting me once again and providing me this platform to speak about Sompuras. I'm really grateful. Jai Mahakal and Jai Somnath. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We all owe a lot to that community. So I'm really glad that you came and talked to us about them.
Thank you,
I see plenty of hands there at the back.
Yes. Haji, Ankur ji.
Thank you. Namaste, Anita ji. Very nice presentation, and glad to know so much about Sompura community. I just wanted to know if there were any, in these the training of the Sthapatis, what was the kind of routine that they followed? What was the rituals that they followed? What was the in the training? I mean, do you have any information about that? Yeah.
So if you look at them, they are the same community. Everybody is related to each other.
Yes,
and
yes.
They would shift on site.
Yes.
So after the normal schooling, what we call it, whatever that school they had, the boys, the girls are not involved. Still no girls from Sompura communities are involved in this one. The boys would come to the site, which was where they were staying on site, right? And if the father is a carver, the child would come and assist him and automatically learn. And then he was also exposed to other things, drawings there, or understanding the scriptures. What is the philosophy? Why we are carving the god like this? The iconographical details, the iconology, or the measurements, the talas that we talk about. So it was imparted on the field. And they were exposed to all functions of temple making. So if somebody is absent, they would easily take over. They specialized in one, but they were generalists as well.
Okay.
So it was all about, as a family, they were learning. And if somebody is very good at drawing, so then he would focus more on drawing, and he was coached for that.
Okay. Now I wanted to ask you about the lifestyle also, because that was also important for their work, right? I mean, were they supposed to maintain some kind of observance before they would embark on their journey? Or
the Sompuras, there are two fractions. One is the one who is involved in temple building, and second is the priest. They are Brahmins, so they are priestly people, and they perform rituals in Somnath Temple.
Okay.
So a lot of rituals are performed. Bhumi Khanan Vidhi is there. Then consecration or Pran Pratishtha ceremony is there. Then you have Kalash, installation of Kalash is there. So every stage of construction in temple, there is a Vidhi, and the Sompuras do that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping well, so I'm shaking. I'm not able to throw my... No, it's okay. Now it's getting over, so it's okay. Haji. No, it's okay, sir. Now it's over. So. No, don't push me.
Yeah, thank you very much for this lovely presentation. It's enlightening to, and also sort of validates the role of communities, things remaining within communities actually. So very, very nice. Thank you. Two questions. What is the role of Sompuras in the current Ram Mandir? Is it as the chief architect or is it something else? Number one. Number two, we've heard about how temples have not just been places of worship, but also centers of living itself. There are other things associated other than, doing puja to the deities, right, associated with the temple. So do you see examples of how that potentially happened in some temples made by Sompuras? And in addition to the pujas, are there other things, schools, for example, other things that are going with the temple, around the temple? Two questions.
Okay. Wait, I'll just first answer your first part of the question. Sompuras in the previous times, they used to... medieval times and early 19th and 20th century, they used to take up a project. The Sthapati was selected on the basis of his knowledge of Vastu Shastra, plus his character, his knowledge in religion and everything. Once he was selected, the whole project was executed by them. Right from selection of the stone, from where to procure the stone, and they were aware of it, the male stone, female stone, neutral stone, which is to be used where and all the knowledge was there with them. Because right from the childhood, they were exposed to the same thing, so they learned very fast. Now, what has happened in the current times, because not many temples were built, the Sompura boys or the men, they didn't find much of the employment opportunity. So they started venturing into different kind of jobs, they don't take part in the temple construction, but they take up construction jobs of schools, colleges, universities, bridges or any other thing. Or they're employed and doing something else. It's just that they don't feel that, they'll get that much of work. So because now the caste system is not rigid, they're able to do that. Right, that was one part. And secondly, Ram Mandir, the whole project was given to Chandrakant Bhai Sompura, his CB Sompura. And currently the trend is that not everything is done by Sompuras, Either they become architect and do the architectural drawing, or they supply the stone or the carving of the stone. So there are various workshops. It is called karkhanas. Right from 5 people to 15 or 20, depending on the scale of operation, they take up the project. But here, as far as I know, because I interact with them, they have taken the whole project. So it was given to them long time back, and that started their work long time back before the judgment came, because there was a faith it was going to happen, so they designed it. So that was one part of your question. I'm sorry, the second part is what? Okay, yeah. Sir.
There is one question and one observation. The observation I will share first. See, the knowledge traditionally was not hidden or was not protected. That's a narrative that has been given to us, that Sanskrit language, because of it, the knowledge was not accessible and it was protected. So maybe, you can research a little bit more on it and see that, so while we acknowledge that translation would help, but translation has its own pitfalls, because of the translation and bringing the Shruti, what was passed on as a Shruti from a Acharya to the disciple, you take it in the direction of automation. Today, because it was codified into, once it is translated into a book, then it is brought to a software, then it is automated. So as long as the knowledge was also passed on from a guru to shishya, it remained in one sense, protected and not, trivialized the way it is. In many instances, you yourself brought that point in your presentation. The other question is that, I asked you before this presentation also, that is there any relationship between the Sompuras and the Vishwakarma Brahmins,
Okay. So to answer your first part of the question, in this time and age also, Sompuras don't want to give out any information. It's very difficult to get information out of them. There are certain texts which has been passed on from generation to generation, and they're not sharing it with the public. They feel this is our bread and butter. If we share the knowledge, the others will know how to make the temple, and we don't want to share. So not everything that has been translated and edited and published is all they have. They have many more cards up their sleeves, and they don't share. it is very difficult to, converse with them and try to get things out of them.
Which is actually good, because one should protect the knowledge and not share it loosely, because, if one is not having the patratva to, take that knowledge, it can be not misutilized. So that point that, we should understand that any knowledge should come with tapasya.
Ji.
And if tapasya is missing, we should not get that knowledge. How many years of sadhana people used to, from their birth, from Garbhadan itself, that knowledge was acquired, by the family members. And we had Shastriji presenting today. How many years he would have done tapasya to get that knowledge? You have to be there for 30 years, 40 years, do that tapasya. And then, you will, you can, that sadhana is visible. Today, a person just walking in wants that everything that within a year or a month, I should get that access. So that understanding, I think it's very, it's actually appreciable that knowledge is preserved in this manner. That's my view.
But sir, everything is changed. The Sompuras, the whole community was doing the same work. Now they are no longer doing the same work. There are people from different communities now looking into the stone carving, stone coring. Some architects are only doing the designing part. Some are just doing the execution part. Now if you look at the temples they are building abroad, everything is done here. It is shipped and then assembled there. So this was never done previously, and that is and the machines are used in such a large number that in 5 years they could construct something like the Akshardham in Delhi. If you have seen that temple, it is magnificent, which took decades for the normal person to do. I mean, normal.
I have my own views on those aspects, but we can discuss separately, because the temples made in South India by hand, which took maybe hundreds of years, vis-a-vis what we are constructing today. So there are different views. So see, we have to get down to the essence of some of these aspects to understand it a little more. Thank you. Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Very happy to see, the acknowledgement of the generations of work of Sompura community, which has gone in over thousands of years.
Sir, there was one more point you said about Vishwakarma.
Yes.
So it is in Puranas, we believe that Vishwakarma is the one who created this earth. He was asked to create everything. So lots of things are attributed to him. Like Dwarka is attributed to him. So in northern part of India, the Nagara style architecture is attributed to Vishwakarma, that he initiated it, and every other Shilpi considers themselves as the son of Vishwakarma. In south we have Maya Mata, the text, and Maya was the architect. And they belong to that particular lineage is what they claim. So these are the two different school of thoughts, Dravida and Nagara.
Thank you so much. Yes, a round of applause. Yes. I hope you're okay. You're okay. Glad. So actually, I came to know that there is kind of a replica of the Ayodhya temple in Delhi, where I live. Where my sasural is in Ashok Vihar. I discovered there's a replica of the Ayodhya temple built by the Sompura community. So that's how I came to know about this community. And now there's a huge Akshardham Temple in New Jersey. So I went to the inauguration of that. So that's also the Sompura community.
Most of them are Sompura as a surname, but they have different gotras. So Trivedi, Vyas, and Sompura, of course, it is.
Right. Thank you so much. Again, a round of applause for you, because you're not well and you took this trouble. Thank you.